Good morning, friends. It is another glorious Saturday, and it's Saturday, May 8th, just a little after 10 a.m. And this is week 2 of our rewrite. So to catch everyone up, this week was rough as far as like progressing the story forward. Last night I did write our chapter 3, which we got together. I didn't film because we had another friend, and I know she's not always interested in being on the camera, so we just wrote and had a good time. But I don't even know if it's really like, I think we just added the chapter really. It wasn't really much of a rewrite. Because
I think we're getting into the point now where a lot of it is just going to be new.
Yeah. We kind of lucked out with our first 2 chapters, but like now we're going to have a lot of...
We're rewriting a book at this point.
Yep.
We're writing a book at this point, not rewriting anymore.
Exactly, yep. So basically what I did is I kind of started to weave in some of her backstory last night where, because she's 28, so she's a little bit older than most characters, I feel like. Because I feel like you either have like the young YA characters or you have like the 20-year-olds, and then you have like the old wise characters in fantasy. So she's 28 and she has a lot of experience for her age because she has a lot of trauma, and that's kind of what I dove into was some of her trauma that she's went through, and it was...
And her responses to it.
And her responses, yep. So I kind of realized that we're assholes. We never make things easy for our characters.
I do think though that like what I'm liking from this is we're not doing the trauma just for shock value. There is a very good reason why this trauma happened to her because it's fairly common in her world.
Yeah.
She's not special. No. For this trauma, and it also I think is going to be a big reason why she chooses to pick up the mantle that she's required to for this to be a story.
Yes. And I will make a big distinction is that her trauma is not the focus of the story.
No,
it's just part of her personality.
Yeah, no, she has essentially dealt with the trauma in whatever manner she could at this point, and her, facing that trauma and like reliving it and everything, that's not really going to be part of the story.
No, it's just more of like this is kind of like it is part of a reason a little bit
has made her what she is.
Yes, and part of also like how it starts off is that her a little bit of her trauma, like an anniversary is coming up for her, and obviously if you know anything about trauma, that certain dates and anniversaries and people and places like can be triggers, and that's kind of like what's happening to her in the beginning is that she is being triggered, but she doesn't want to admit it because admitting it is putting her at risk for her life essentially. And so she kind of has to like go through that and deal with it in order to move forward and, like KAITLYN said, take on the mantle that is going to be handed to her.
So I think her trauma is a vague subplot, but it's definitely not the focal point of the...
Yes, because I do hate like when like you use trauma, or in general, when people use trauma as like their only motivation. No. I do hate that. Like, and that's not
her trauma is just part of her. She's just a well-rounded character, and most people have trauma of some sort, and this is just hers is a little bit more intense than most. But as we said, in this world, it's not something that's super uncommon.
Yeah. So what I'm excited to do today then, so we have the first 3 chapters, so we're going to be working on chapter 4, which is going to be her trying to lay low for a few days and make her next plans as far as what she needs to do, because right now she kind of exposed herself a little bit, and in this world it's very dangerous to do that. So
and she's good at what she does, so her exposing herself is also, I think we're playing that up a little bit more, that it's a bigger deal than we managed to do when she wasn't the only focal point of the story.
Exactly.
I don't think we played up what her profession was and her particular set of skills as much as we probably could have.
Yeah.
Because she does have a particular set of skills. She is Liam Neeson. But I think we're playing that up a little bit more too, which is I think going to be fun to play with kind of today of, how she manages her trauma by kind of staying busy and staying in that mind frame that she thinks she needs to.
Yes. And then side note too, I am happy because I kind of like, she had like she's a person in her past that will come up throughout the story. And they're still alive, but they do come up, and I kind of like, in a good way, made them a bit of an antagonist. Not a villain, but like an antagonist. Yeah. And I like that even though she's kind of callous and rough, like she is pushing our character to accept some of her limits. And she's a very
great character. She's not doing necessarily anything that is hurting Demetria at this point. She's just an opposing force. Yep. So instead of a love triangle, we just created an antagonist triangle, because there's the people that she's actually going to be struggling against, this opposing force that, they don't necessarily meet, but they are both opposing her. And I think it's just going to create a much more interesting story than what we originally had. Because originally we just essentially had the bad guy. That was...
Yes, yep.
You know,
it was a very traditional fantasy where you have a villain character. And this one,
it's not one particular character.
No, it's not one particular character. It's also not wholly bad.
No.
And I'm hoping that we play that off really well because, like, we have, for instance, a government entity that...
Which would be like any government. Like, where does that line... Where is that line
Exactly.
drawn between caring and helping and assisting a population and overstepping a boundary where you're taking away personal freedoms? So that's kind of where the government in this world is at this point where, you know, they
do
are
bad
protecting
things sometimes.
They are protecting to an extent, but they also, you know, have corrupt channels within them, which any government does. And they're also perhaps overstepping on a few things that are taking away personal freedoms, which is kind of a hot button topic right now.
Yep.
You know, and we're not giving an opinion one way or the other on where that line is, but, you know, it's up for you to infer, like, where is that government overstepping in this world.
Yeah, but obviously that's also going to play into our main character because our main character is human still, so so that's gonna play into how like she reacts, and she might not make she might make a different decision than someone else would make in this world. So so that's our little our tangent about where we've been at so far. We are going to work on chapter 4 where she's going to start trying to tread the waters and see like if she can leave and what her next step should be in this chapter. And then we'll probably, maybe we can get to chapter 5 today, and chapter 5 is going to be probably the catalyst moment.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
So there we go. Wish us luck.
Shorter, but like it's not a couple pages.
Well, I think I was gonna say, and that's the thing that I think I tended it to be just very quick, like sporadic, but actually like I feel like this makes sense.
You know, it's literally just her mental state.
Yeah. Yep. But like at the same, I don't know. I mean, I'm not opposed to
it might not be a bad like breakup, just because, you know, like we did have a lot of stuff happening right in the beginning. Like, you know, she gets caught on the train. Akila comes in, like she does have a. And I think we have kind of like where a lot of stuff happens the first chapter. The second chapter is just kind of her traveling. And then a lot of stuff happens in the third chapter because Akila comes in, and then this one kind of is also just a quest. Like, so we kind of keep going back and forth with like lots of stuff happening, lots of things to absorb, and then stuff that maybe you're not aware you should be absorbing.
Yeah.
I think that like what could be interesting to do in this one too is make it necessary for her to go to Akila for help with something.
Yeah.
And then we can have that scene of where she walks in and meets Peter. That can actually be in this book.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Where she drops that she has been in the guild, and Felicity is like, well, why aren't we asking them for help? And like that can set up the whole, like she goes to Akila for help and Akila tells her no. Like, no, I have no interest in burning this institution to the ground.
Yeah.
This works for me.
Yeah.
When someone else takes over for me, they can do what they wish. But right now, I'm in charge and I don't want it to.
Yeah. I mean, she could maybe use Peter's help, and that's why like Akila goes.
I could see Peter wanting to help her.
Yeah.
No, she's getting rich off of this. We're the ones working for her.
They both loved her.
Yeah.
And like I think both of them were romantically in love with her.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So like
definitely.
Yeah.
We're so good at like building backstories. I love it. No, I think part of the reason she has held onto it and has refused to let go of it is it fuels her.
Good at mentoring, but not a good person.
She took like literally Akila, if you think about it, she takes kids and she throws them into situations where she really doesn't have to. She's not at risk. She's putting them at risk all the time.
I feel like they wouldn't actually have like a guild day. It would be like initiation. PTSD.
Yep. No, that's what it is.
Worldwide. Thanks.
Hi guys, it is 12:55, almost 1 o'clock on Saturday. KAITLYN just left a little bit ago, and I cleaned up from breakfast because I made bacon and it was it makes a mess. Bacon makes a mess. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of update. We did write and we did plot a lot, but we did kind of get distracted by talking today. there's just been a lot going on in both of our lives that we were just kind of catching up on, so we were distracted. But we do have a very solid plan going forward as far as what we're going to do this week. So we have 2 chapters that we have fleshed out, chapter 5 and chapter 6, that we are going to be completely drafting, and she's going to finish chapter 5 because we did start chapter 5, but that's when we started like talking more, so we kind of kept getting a little unfocused, and we would write a little bit and then get unfocused, so we just really needed to like sit down and flesh it out. So she's going to do chapter 5, and then we kind of said that chapter 6 is going to be the catalyst now. So we initially thought chapter 5 was going to be a catalyst, chapter 6 is going to be the catalyst, when she kind of almost exposes herself again, and then she's going to go back to our apartment. So I think probably chapter 6 is going to be kind of like right leading up, and then chapter 7 is when she's going to be offered her catalyst. So I'm gonna write chapter 6, she's gonna write chapter 5, and then hopefully by Tuesday night we'll have those fleshed out so that chapter 7 we can write together, or at least plan together, and then for next weekend. So we should in theory get chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8 all done this week, so that by next Saturday we'll be moving forward again, and we'll be moving into hopefully finishing up Act 1 and be moving into Act 2, I would hope, by the weekend. But we'll see. I mean, it is, because we are fast drafting this and we are reworking a lot of it to fit in with her theme, like there are definitely things that we want to explore and flesh out more. But I do think, because this is high fantasy, we're probably not going to actually finish this in a month, but we're going to get a good chunk of it done. I mean, initially I think we thought we had a lot more material to work with, and we don't, because we took so much of it out because that wasn't the main plot. So it definitely is going to be more writing than I think we thought initially, which is why this is a rework and not a rewrite and not an entirely new draft. So yeah, anyway, that was our week 2. I don't know, I have a lot going on because tomorrow is Mother's Day and I need to clean my house. So I don't know how much I'll actually write today, but if things kind of get like slow, I definitely am going to keep diving back into this, and we'll see where we go. But anyway, thanks again for joining us on our 2nd episode, and let me know down below what you guys think of our musings. If you guys are co-writing, how is your co-writing project going? And if you're not co-writing and you're just drafting or whatever, like let me know how your work is going this week, and I will definitely check in at the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I post videos on Tuesdays and Fridays, and if you're interested, definitely follow me and subscribe so that you get more of this content as well as all my other video content. And until next time, I'll see you then.